morning. Both later died at the hospital. At the Capitol, Assembly Minority Leader Gordon Hintz faults Republicans for what he calls an anemic session.
Speaker Voss is on track to have the Assembly meet the fewest days of at least the past 18 years.
Hintz said limiting the bills that get sent to Democratic Governor Tony Evers has been the goal overall of Assembly GOP leaders. A steep decline in coal shipments from the Twin Ports of Duluth Superior was offset by the 306,000 freight tons of components for producing wind energy shipped during 2019.
The popular school choice programs in Wisconsin allow students to attend private and religious schools tuition-free. Applications are being accepted now through April 16th. Take action today to ensure your child begins the 2020 and 21 school year in the best school possible. To get details on the program and local participating private schools, visit www.chooseyourschoolwi.org. Again, visit chooseyourschoolwi.org today for more information.
Share your adventures and memories with Wisconsin DNR for your chance to win a great prize. We all have those memories of hunting and angling, so get your photo or video submitted now. Get started at dnr.wi.gov. Stories from the wild side with Wisconsin DNR.
Vision loss doesn't define us.
And we are here to let those challenged with blinding retinal diseases know
that together we are stronger.
We are the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
Join the fight at fightingblindness.org.
Be sure to tune in for this Thursday's 11:10 show with Bev Anderson from Anderson Real Estate. Learn the in and outs of buying and selling a property. Stay informed and educated with Anderson Real Estate this Thursday at 11:10. Wouldn't it be swell if the front page of every article had the words, buy one, get one free, pizza, milk, bananas, rechecks, that guy with the mustache? Well, that's a little sub-commentary, but this idea is true and real in the middle of Beaver Dam. Why? Because rechecks actually exist there. And this week you can take advantage of the buy one, get one free sale on all this week, especially on Bellatoria Pizza. Choose from the pan size, the new rising crust pizza, or Realza Pizza, buy one, get one free. You save an amazing $8.99. Kemp's White Milk is on sale, be it 1%, 2% skim, or even chocolate. Get 2 1-gallon containers for just $5. Another front page special is Kemp's Cottage Cheese, 22-ounce container for $1.99. Jody and the Doughboys know how to shop because they do it at Rechecks, and you should too. Rechecks, 609 North Spring Street, Beaver Dam.
My name is Alan Winter, and I would like to be Beaver Dam's next mayor. My plan is to start repairing our roads, upgrade our taxi fleet, and improve our transportation services in the community. I believe we need to stop outlandish spending on frivolous projects and expand affordable housing for the elderly. I have the experience and expertise to be your next mayor. Everybody's mayor. Please cast your vote on February 18th for me, Alan Winter, for mayor.
Authorized and paid for by friends of Alan Winter, Harvey Lewis, Treasurer.
Prairie Ridge Health Clinics in Columbus, Marshall, and Beaver Dam have you covered. Accepting most major insurance, including Unity, Dean, Physicians Plus, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Alliance, and more. To learn more, visit prairieridge.health. Prairie Ridge Health, inspired by you.
Power up machinery in frigid weather temperatures with the Prime Wire and Cable Cold Weather Extension Cord. Available in 25-foot medium duty, 50-foot heavy duty, or 50-foot extra heavy duty. This cord provides outstanding performance in extreme climate conditions. Save money at your local Hardware Hank on a cord that's guaranteed to last in the harshest winter elements.
The quality of your relationships can determine your quality of life. When you have trouble hearing, the communication that makes relationships strong becomes difficult. It happens gradually over time. Often you don't realize it until you find yourself on the sidelines, missing out on conversations that make life special.
We are the audiologists from Beaver Dam Hearing Care. We can assess your hearing and make recommendations that both complement your lifestyle and are considered of your budget. Please call Beaver Dam Hearing Care 70509 to schedule your appointment. We can keep you involved in life.
At Beaver Dam Piggly Wiggly on the beautiful east side of Beaver Dam, they've got you covered for Valentine's Day and some great healthy alternatives to start off with, Leslie.
That's right. Now you can stock up. Food Club canned veggies are on sale, only 49 cents right now. Food Club pasta select packages, Rick, are also 49 cents. And the Hunt's pasta sauce, the 24-ounce can, is just 69 cents. I love that. Quick, easy meals, easy for the kids to even make.
Yeah, and the stuff that's like right there in the pantry that you can go with any time, like Campbell's soup.
Yeah, the chunky soup. I love the chicken dumpling. That's my favorite. 3 for $5. Nice and hearty this cold time of year.
You know, this is a great time of the year to be thinking about fresh fruits as well. And of course, for Valentine's Day, strawberries.
Yeah, and the premium strawberries in the 1-pound carton are just $1.99. Your Valentine will love those.
Don't forget, as far as Valentines are concerned, the great liquor department with champagne for your sweetheart and the new floral department. Loaded and ready to go. Beaver Dam Piggly Wiggly on the beautiful east side of Beaver Dam.
It is 12:38, and it is time now for Community Comment. Here is your host, Craig Warnbull.
Well, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Welcome to Community Comment. On Community Comment today, we wrap up a 3-part look at the race for Beaver Dam Mayor as it pertains to the February 18th primary ballot, which will see 3 candidates listed for Beaver Dam Mayor. Over the past couple days, we had an opportunity to sit down with Jeff Coleman on Monday and Al Winter yesterday, Tuesday. Today, we have an opportunity to sit down with the incumbent Mayor Becky Glewen. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Craig. Appreciate being here.
And a note to our listeners. 30 WBEV. We are video streaming today's program, so if you want to go to dailydodge.com, you can check out the video tab, and you'll be able to watch today's program. And then following today's program, sometime this afternoon, our plan is to get all 3 of those videos posted on Daily Dodge and our respective social media pages if you would like to be able to see the one-on-one interview that we are having today. Also, a note to our listeners, as part of the political community comment process that we've got in place for the past several years now, we do not open the phone lines up for these one-on-one interviews. This, again, is just meant to be a one-on-one interview between myself and the candidate, kind of a contrast to the debate that's traditionally held by the chamber, in which the public is able to ask questions, the candidates ask questions of themselves, etc. So without further ado, this is an opportunity for you to kind of lay out your opening statements. Tell us a little bit about who you are, your elected experience, clubs that you belong to, anything you want to tell us about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, as most people know, I was born and raised here. I've lived here pretty much all my life. Left for school to go to Green Bay and Bemidji State, Minnesota for a while. Grew up in this community and was very active in 4-H and had the great opportunity of being a part of a farm family right outside of Beaver Dam, and baled hay and worked in the barn and took a cow to the fair. So I'm really proud of that and really proud of 4-H. I think it's a definite asset in helping an individual gain leadership skills at a young age. But then went to school and came back, raised my children here. I have 3 children, a daughter that's in Indiana, one in Minnesota, and another that's in La Crosse, and they're all in school right now. Then I have my partner Tom, that he is my rock and help, and tries to keep all scheduling things and keep me on schedule as we go. But I have lived here and worked here. I've held a lot of supervisory position, management, director positions in the with some research project through the University of Wisconsin-Madison. I was a grant director at the school district. Worked with multiple, in fact, all of the schools throughout the county and running prevention programming and grants for them. I was a manager at a nonprofit for a while. Of course, that's Green Valley Enterprises, and worked on employment, finding employment for individuals with different abilities. Was a great opportunity. Through all of this time, I really connected a lot through volunteering through my church. I was very heavily involved when my kids were little, so that I could volunteer but still have my children with me. We did a lot through the church. I spent a Thanksgiving going out of town to serve a Thanksgiving Day meal. And while I was there, the individual that set that up, said to myself and the individual I was with, we thank you for coming here today to serve the Thanksgiving Day meal, but if you really, you should really just do this in your hometown. We don't want you to come back necessarily. And I was really kind of offended, but I came back, and as I thought about it, I went, yeah, he's right. And that kind of led to the Beaver Dam Community Meal Coalition, where I organized and was coordinator for, I believe in the end, 7 churches. We ran that, or I ran that for almost 10 years, and monthly community meals through the churches. We started out at just one of the schools, and it built over time, and then ran a Thanksgiving Day meal for a number of years through my church, where we provided meals to almost, I think, 450 individuals in the community. So I've just tried to really be connected. I'm on the Church Health Services Board, Civic Organizations Alliance, and now Rotary. Done a lot of prevention work as far as drug and alcohol prevention across the county. And I'm just really interested, or I became interested at a point when I was working for the schools and looking at state data and how we've talked about this demographic shift and the workforce change that was coming, and now that was almost 5 years ago. And it really piqued my interest to the point where I said, we have to get moving quickly on this. It's a concern for our community and our area. And so that led me to run for city council. And I was a city council member then at that time, and then I ran at the same time for county board supervisor, which I held both offices. Then ran for mayor, and I've held the county board position during that time, so for 4 years. So. And
you're not running for county board?
Correct.
Is that by design? Do you need to feel that if reelected, you need to focus on the city of Beaver Dam?
At the time I was thinking that maybe I was going to look at different opportunities as far as just how to get involved in maybe different ways here in the community. They don't have anyone that has stepped up at all, and so I've had some conversations about possibly doing a write-in. It has been a great asset to have the relationships that I've built over at the county as well. That helped us, I think, in this road project that we have going on for the Southside Entrance Quick Trip project, that the county is a partner in that and paying for some of that road restoration. So financially, that was a big help to us. I've also just had a lot of great working relationships on committees that has helped the city of Beaver Dam. We've had that conversation about broadband and how important that is to not only Beaver Dam, but the whole surrounding area. We've written for a grant just recently that went to the PSA so that we could provide, hopefully, broadband across the county. And so those types of connections have been very useful, beneficial, and so I hope, I'm thinking of possibly keeping that going.
Okay.
Possibly. Yeah.
So, and that would be a second term on the county board, a third term.
That would be a third, yeah. It's a 2-year.
Two-year commitment, 3-year commitment for Beaver Dam mayor, of course. What is the reasoning behind going out for a second term as mayor?
Sure. Well, when I originally ran, I guess, for mayor, I guess, setting up at that time and just thinking about what were the things that needed to be accomplished and what I'd like to lead and get moving for the community, realized, or in my mind, I was thinking it would take 2 terms, knowing that you only are assured of 1 term if you get in. So, the thought was I want to work as hard as I can during that first term to make as much happen as I could. And so the second term is just to, as a continuation to finish projects that we've started, but also to keep us on that trajectory of improvement that we've started on.
Did you second guess yourself as far as the second term? Was there a time where you didn't think you'd run for a second term?
So that did come up because there was that conversation around the salary increase. So a mayor or any elected official cannot have their salary changed mid-term. So it has to be designated before you take the position. And so the prior mayor, Mayor Kennedy, he ran 3 years under the same salary, and then I was running 3 years under the same salary with no wage increase. So I had proposed it's time that we need to make that shift to make sure that this is not just because of me, but because we want to strategically make sure that Beaver Dam is positioning itself for the best person that would be an executive that would want to step into that position. And so I believe, and I still do, is that 9 years is too long to go without a salary change in any position. There's not even a cost of living increase in that at all. And so that was really my frustration, I guess, is saying I wasn't sure if if I was going to make that commitment again for the time and effort, which I thought was very disappointing that city leaders didn't see it the same way.
Your opponents are using that as a reason, kind of a negative, if you will, the fact that, well, you weren't going to run because you didn't get a raise.
Oh, well.
And the optics aren't exactly great.
Why is that? I mean, I think the optics are great. I haven't seen a pay raise in 6 years, and I'm still willing to take this job. I think that says a lot about me.
Why does there need to be a raise for the position of mayor?
Well, I think I just really stated that and saying if you want any position competitive, who expects any job not to have any type of raise? And I guess, you could say, oh, it's a public servant job, and so people should just give of their time. But then you have city council members at the same time who are saying, well, I would never take that job for that pay. They're professionals, and they realized that as a professional position, it should be competitive. And again, if we value our city and we value leadership, you should want to have a competitive pay for a qualified individual. So anyway, yeah, it was a difficult. I guess it just was upsetting to me that that council didn't see the value in that.
So where does the idea of a city administrator form of government fit into this? You had loosely proposed the idea, nothing formal, introduced, right, of scaling back the role of full-time mayor to that of part-time, and getting a city administrator to basically handle the day-to-day operations of the city. I guess, how does that kind of fit into this, and what are the advantages that you see moving to that form of government?
Sure. Well, that was one of also my very big frustrations was, again, you cannot change the salary of an elected official over 3 years. So now we have, when I proposed, okay, we're going to put in a salary increase for the next 3 years, for the position of mayor, not knowing if I would be that person, but it also included in each year 1, 2, 3, council would be able to have the decision to do an analysis and determine, do we want to move this position to a part-time position and reduce the salary to X amount of dollars so that we could possibly move to a city administrator position. Effectively, they just voted it down and didn't take any action on it, so it was just dead, and we lost that ability now for 3 years. We can't reduce it legally, so state statute doesn't allow that to change. So we can't reduce it to effective, bring on a city administrator if that were, well, we could. I take that back, we could, but then we're going to be paying a full-time mayor and a full-time city administrator. Mm-hmm. So
it would have to be 3 years out that the plan would take effect.
Possibly.
Under what you're saying.
Possibly.
Okay.
If there's that was just part of my frustration as well. And then I guess the other issue was that absolutely city administrators. First of all, there's very few cities our size that actually have a full-time mayor. It has pretty much gone to a city administrator role for most cities because of the expertise that's needed to run a city. It's complicated. There's the HR, there's the finance piece, there's the oversight of a lot of different things. And so when you have a city administrator, you're guaranteed to be able to interview an individual that has background and schooling and such, and probably experience in that area. You're not necessarily guaranteed that with a mayoral run. So, and it can happen, but again, at the salary that it's less likely. A city administrator is generally close to about double of what the mayor's salary is. So, anyway, that piece, and just communities that have a city administrator, they can look at and movement or the progression of that city is much greater because they have someone in a place that they're assured is qualified.
Those who are against a city administrator form of government say it's more difficult to get rid of a bad city administrator if it was an elected process. That option would come up every couple years, but not necessarily the case with the city administrator.
Well, that's not true because they do the council and the mayor still oversee the city administrator, so they have the hiring and firing ability then of that individual. So certainly with any with any firing, of course there are steps that you have to go through, but and they have contract rules that they put in place too to protect themselves, because sometimes you get a council that can be difficult, and but it's still by and far it benefits a city moreover.
The size of the council is at 14 alderpersons right now, representing I believe what is now 16 districts. A couple were added for technical reasons. Your thoughts on the size of the council?
Right. So we have the largest representation in the city, or I'm sorry, in the state for representatives is 14. The largest community our size, the next one is I think about 10 or 11 representatives. We have 14. Most in this size range, like Watertown has 9, and I think Waupun has 6 or 7. And they're in that range. And so anyway, I do think it's large. But I think we've talked about before, it really wasn't something that I was really willing to champion. I know there's been a couple of alderpersons that are interested in reducing that and have kind of let them, if that's what they desire to do, that they could bring that forward. But otherwise, and probably a good time to do that now with adding those 2 new districts. We're kind of be nice to kind of realign some of that, but certainly, I'd be supportive of that, I think, but, I'm just familiar with other communities like Watertown. They have a smaller council. They have the same issues as we do here, and so it's not any easier or more difficult. It's just more people, I guess.
So what do you see as the main issues facing the city of Beaver Dam here now going into this next election cycle?
Well, certainly, the big talk, of course, is streets and the handling of how we manage that has seen quite a deterioration over the years, and lack of taking care of those. But again, that's on a broader scale. That's a state and national thing as well. But certainly that's an issue. Our parks, we have started to now identify parks and put that into our CIP planning, so that we can start to take care of some of the park areas that are deteriorating and some of the buildings that actually have rot and things that are falling apart. Economic development is, of course, always a high necessary need that we need to continue to work on. We need to continue to talk to our current businesses as well as others, and making sure that we're appealing to both and keeping the businesses that we have here, but also attracting a new kind of business and new pay scale, I guess, is what I'm interested in, is diversifying a little bit. If we can look towards higher paying jobs so that we continue to push up job pay in this area. Housing has been an issue, and it continues to be. The single family housing is really one of the main focuses that I'd like to continue to work on this year, which I think we have so we can have some movement forward in that direction, where I've been doing some research with the league on opportunities that we might have right now.
For single-family homes?
Yes.
What can you elaborate on that?
Well, the state does allow the, when a TIF is about to close, so which we do have a TIF coming up to close, it can be extended for 1 year. And in that 1 year, the city itself captures the tax base from that TIF and can be used then for affordable housing means. And so that's what we'd, or at least I'd like to explore and try to see what ways we can do that. Now, communities across the state have implemented this, and so we're looking to kind of ways that they've made that work, and then we'll bring that forward and kind of continue that conversation to see if that's a direction that council would like to go. But all of these things kind of intertwine, and they're all working together. You can't have one or the other when you're working on workforce development. It's kind of a whole piece that goes together. And so again, if you're looking back, and like I said 5 years ago, the alarm went up to me when I started seeing this data on low birth rates and low unemployment and people leaving the workforce and automation coming and those types of things. To me, it was very much, I grew up as involved in a lot of sports and as a competitor, and just knew that to be viable, Beaver Dam had to really step it up and be competitive.
Some of those topics that you just mentioned we're going to explore in a little bit more depth. We do have to take a break. Our guest here is Becky Glewen. She is the incumbent running for mayor of the city of Beaver Dam. The challengers that will appear on the February 19th ballot, Jeff Coman and Al Winter, were our guests on Monday and Tuesday's program. You'll be able to find the video of all three one-on-one interviews with the candidates on dailydodge.com later this afternoon. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
Check out the latest information on station contests at dailydodge.com. Brought to you by Hometown Glass and Improvement.
No appointment necessary for the Quick Lane Oil Change at Countryside Ford in Columbus. 10% military discount every Monday and senior citizen discount on Wednesday. Countryside Ford, 330 Transit Road, Columbus.
You're listening to AM 1430 WBEV Beaver Dam, streaming on dailydodge.com. Our stream audio brought to you by Beaver Dam Piggly Wiggly.
The Verlo Mismatch sale is going on now. Stop into the Verlo Mattress Factory store today. The best savings of the year happen now when you buy mattress sets made with mismatch fabrics. Twin mattresses starting at $89. Queen firm sets at $399. Queen pillow top sets at $899. Savings also on adjustable foundations. Who cares if the fabrics don't match? Wake up, sleep better, and save big at Verlo. Visit the Fort Atkinson store at 201 North Main Street today.
And 1613 North Spring Street, Beaver Dam.
Whether you're around town or across the country, American Bank believes you shouldn't have to pay to access your money. That's why American Bank is proud to be part of the MoneyPass ATM network. Hi, this is Amanda Emery Morris with American Bank. By using your debit or ATM card from American Bank, you have access to over 25,000 surcharge-free ATMs from coast to coast. To find a MoneyPass network ATM near where you live, work, or travel, visit AmericanBankBD.com/MoneyPass. American Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
Do you or someone you know have struggles doing the things you used to do, like household chores or getting out in the community, such as grocery shopping or going to medical appointments? My Helpers Care offer a vast variety of services ranging from one visit all the way up to 24/7 care. We also have an emergency on-call number answered 24 hours, 7 days a week by a member of management. Our extremely dependable staff are waiting to serve you today. Please visit us on Facebook at My Helpers Care. Thank you.
A Trivia Night fundraiser is planned for Saturday, March 21st to help the Dodge County 4-H and FFA Youth Meat Animal Sale Committee raise money for upgrades in the lamb and beef barn at the Dodge County Fairgrounds. The annual Dodge County Trivia Night at Dodgeland High School will feature 10 rounds of 10 questions with each team consisting of 8 players. Doors open at 4. Trivia starts at 6. In addition to trivia, the committee will have bucket raffles, silent auction items, and a 50-50 raffle. To donate to trivia, email mastertrivianight@yahoo.com or call 920-988-1817.
Refresh and renew your bathroom with big savings from Menards. Add stylish elegance to your bathroom with vanities from Magic Woods Elements. The 36-inch wide Stratton vanity features a trendy gray finish with 1 door and 2 drawers that all have soft close hinges and slides for smooth and quiet operation. Just $229.99 now at Menards. Sale prices good through Saturday, February 22nd.
Save big money at Menards.
Prairie Ridge Health, well into the future. We all hope we don't need a hip replacement, but if you do, think Prairie Ridge Health. The average stay for a hip replacement at Prairie Ridge Health is 1.8 days. To learn more, visit prairieridgehealth.org. One more reason to choose Prairie Ridge Health, inspired by you.
¿Buscas un lugar para obtener todas sus noticias locales en español? Estamos orgullosos de anunciar la nueva sección de Diario Dodge en dailydodge.com.
It is 3 minutes past 1 o'clock. Now back to more community comment and your host, Craig Warmbold.
And our guest is Beaver Dam Mayor Becky Glewen. She is facing challenges from 2 candidates on the February 18th ballot. Al Winter, who was our guest on yesterday's program, and Jeff Coleman, who was our guest on Monday's program. All 3 of these one-on-one interviews will be available in audio and video formats following today's program. Also a reminder to our listeners during these political one-on-ones, it is just a one-on-one. We do not open the phone lines per our long-standing policy. So you're now looking, you're in your 3rd term. Third year of your first term as mayor. When you came on, there was a big emphasis on downtown revitalization.
Yeah.
And a number of dollars were put into revitalizing the downtown area. It didn't come without criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts about how everything with downtown revitalization has played out in the past couple of years?
So, I understand in this position that you're never going to make everyone happy. That was never a concern of mine, and I knew that, I was going to draw a lot of flack for certain things, and but I know that, those were some of the things, again, that I spoke about in my platform, I guess, when I ran the first time as well. Having grown up here, my frustration, I guess, a lot was hearing the same problems over and over and over again and nothing being done about those. And some of those problems are decade-old problems, like the Lakeview Hospital property that was becoming a safety issue with kids getting in there, police and fire not wanting or willing to go in anymore because of hazardous air. And so that and the downtown, hearing about the deterioration of the downtown for 50 years, again, nothing being done about it, or very little, and not making any movement. Now, yes, we made some movement to make improvements because we know downtowns are difficult. And I mean, I've done a lot of research on them. We do have a comprehensive plan that was put into place 11 years ago. The people that were on that committee at that time were some familiar names like John Litcher and even Mark Bourne. Those individuals did a lot of planning committee meetings where they worked with the engineering group or company the planning group that put that together. And overall, the focus of this whole comprehensive plan talks about where your housing should be, and a lot of it has to do with a focus on exactly what we're doing right now: revitalization of downtowns, walkability, the attractiveness and the layout of your community, and how you can get people mobile without actually getting into a car, which is much healthier, and also for the social aspect of that. So while I ran on a platform of this is what we need to do, because that's also the research I was reading about, as far as, again, remember, my focus is looking at how are we a community that's viable and broad and brings interest from young families, young people, so that we're replacing that aging population that's retiring and getting out of the workforce, and so that we help our businesses, so our businesses don't leave, and that we're still competitive. And so in my research with that, downtowns were making this comeback and becoming very popular. It just kind of fit in line again with the complaints that I'd heard for many, many years, and my wanting to come in and actually tackle some of those, some of those problems.
And again, a reminder to our listeners, 920-885. No, I'm sorry.
it's not
A reminder to our listeners, you can go to the video tab at Daily Dodge. I was just trying to buy you a minute there to get a drink.
Sorry.
Were you finished with your statement? Was that?
Well, anyway, no.
Just
I'll
trying to
go
buy you
back.
a second there.
Thank you.
DailyDodge.com video tab is
Yeah.
what I meant to say.
Okay. Well, anyway, so the comprehensive plan, though, it lays basically that whole plan out. And I'm sorry, I know there's been some complaints about people, like some people have been saying, well, we didn't know about this plan, or I haven't been using, and I've brought this forward to council before, and I've pulled out sections. It's quite lengthy, of course, and it's online. But I've pulled out sections that deal with all of the downtown and highlighted exactly all of the things that are recommended and that we have accomplished, because they are drivers of economic development. And that's what we're seeing. And so I would just say that it's done exactly what we planned for it to do. And yes, there is some investment, but as far as the changes that are happening, it's not overnight. It takes time. It's a long process. The buildings have been let go for a long time, so it's difficult, again, to make numbers work a lot of times. But we are able to use a TIF funding now for the downtown. And again, you have to think about forward thinking always of each mayor and the administration almost 10 years ago during Mayor Kennedy, in forming a TIF to put up the Madison Street apartments. So they formed that TIF and were able to give them an incentive. Now they're coming to the end of that incentive, and so the tax base from that brand new building on a green place of property, creates increment. And that tax base goes into the TIF, which is exactly, again, what that TIF was created for. Some TIFs are created out on 151, for instance, as far as large economic development, green space, and bringing in big business. But we're using TIF in a lot of ways right now to get rid of blight and control blight. And so that's what the downtown TIF 10 years ago was created to do, was to get rid of blight. And so now, because of that incentivized project, we're able to take that and use that tax base to do the incentives to help people fix up buildings.
Well, one of the common criticisms on social media has been that you're spending this money downtown, and it's the streets that are the problem. You need to focus on the streets. What is your approach to fixing the streets? What has it been, and what would your plans be if reelected for another 3-year term?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think I realized that already when I came into office 3 years ago. I would just say this is the Chamber of Commerce. This was their evening that they did their yearly meeting. And this is a snapshot of a paper from Beaver Dam in 1913, and they're saying they're getting contributions from people to pay for better roads. I mean, it's always been an issue. It's always going to be an issue. And then we've had the last at least 10 years where we haven't focused on that. The state hasn't focused on it. The national level hasn't focused on it. So we're behind, and so now we're feeling that. And just and I mentioned this the other night too, that multimodal grant that the governor put out. We applied for that. There was a pot of $76 million put aside for cities to write grants to help with particular streets that would be focused on economic development. And so $76 million was put out for all cities across the state. We had, or they had people apply to the amount of $1.6 billion. So the need is not just in Beaver Dam. The need is across the state. It's across the country. Again, if you travel, and as I have, and other people have said to me, I went to Illinois, I was in Indiana, I was in Minnesota. I told you my kids are kind of scattered around. I've been in all of those states. We go to Michigan to visit. The roads are bad in every state, so it's something that every state community is dealing with. You and I have talked a little bit about it because our kids are both up at La Crosse, and man, there's some wicked streets up there and potholes. And so anyway, it's got to be, certainly it's got to be paid attention to and a priority, but it can't be at the cost of doing nothing else. Again, if we've let everything else sit, we're no better off in a lot of other ways as well. And that's where you have this year, for instance, we have money set aside for the roof at the Historical Society. You can't let that go. I mean, that's a incredible gem in our community that, we've got same thing over at the athletic field. If you go take a look at the shelters over there, there's dry rot in the ceiling areas of those shelters. There's a lot of gravel all around the snack shack that's not handicap accessible. People can't get to that without walking through gravel. So it's, some of those things, and then we started talking, we put a plan together for Swan Park, and so I don't think you can put everything into say we're all about streets. Communities have to deal with a lot of different issues, and you can't just say that's all we're about.
The needs are plentiful, and certainly there's no shortage of needs on the list. Paying for it is a different thing. We've kind of learned this new term in the last couple months in Beaver Dam, and that is the debt capacity.
Yeah.
After Beaver Dam had been operating under a self-imposed $1.6 million borrowing cap, there was a different look at the numbers, and it was determined that Beaver Dam is at 39% of its debt capacity. So just using that as a general number, 39% out of 100% of where we're at with debt capacity, is that where you think we should be, 39%? Do you think we should be higher, lower, stay at 39? What are your thoughts?
So this was a big part of the conversation that we had with both or all council leadership as we went through our borrowing this year and taking a look at that in this number that hangs out there that people are like held up to, and so really it was a lot of research and taking a look at, again, across the state. There was maybe one other community that did such a thing where they put a number out there. And even when I'm talking with our new finance director, Zach Bloom, and we're talking about it, and he's saying, I would never tie the hands of a community, and that's exactly what we were hearing from like Illers and groups that we were talking about in our debt and what we were looking at. They're just saying communities don't look at it as far as what's the number. They're looking at what are the needs and what can you do. I mean, borrowing and our ratings look at an overall general rating as far as are you taking care of problems or are things falling down around you. So it's not just about that number of capacity. And when you look at that number, it includes our TIFs, which we have very healthy TIFs, but some of that 39% is 2 TIFs, which don't count to the taxpayer as far as your, what you're taxed on. That's contained within the TIF. And then you also have money that's included in that borrowing for infrastructure. Every time we're doing these road projects, it's very expensive for all of the road work that needs to be done underneath, and we can't let that go. Those are 80, 90, 100-year-old roads, and so you have to deal with those issues at the same time, which brings the issue of debt, for that. But again, debt at the wastewater treatment to do all that infrastructure is separate because it's all rate-based, and so that's really not the same kind of debt, I should say. But anyway, the thing that what we need to look at, or what communities look at, and I'll just use one of the communities up in Door County as an example, because they, I think it's Sister Bay, but don't quote me on that because I'm not sure, but they had a harbor project, okay? Critical to the growth of their community and tourism and everything up there. So they actually went up to like 90% of their debt capacity so they could do this harbor project. Well, then it's, they got to take care and bring that down because it doesn't allow you, in case there's an emergency, you want some of that. But you're not, you can't just put a number on it. You have to look at the needs and you have to balance what we can pay for. And that's why in year one, I had a lot of conversations with John Summers and saying, we're at 1.6. What would it look like if we were at 3.7? How does that affect the taxes on us? Because we need this, and this that are crumbling around us. And so what does that do, and what does that mean to the taxpayer? Because I don't want to borrow $10 million because that's going to really hit you hard on tax time, right? But what would be something that would be doable? And so we looked at the 3.7, and John said, yeah, I think that's a doable rate. It was going to affect people you're paying for that extra borrowing, but you're going to borrow anyway. So it was like an extra $15 added on for the borrowing. And we borrow in 10-year increments. So you're paying today what was borrowed 10 years ago. So it cycles every year. You're paying off a year, and it's just you're putting it on a 10-year and paying it off in 10 years, which is really good. It's a low amount of years, and it's at a low interest rate, and that's what cities do. That's the tool that they've been given to, especially with levy limits. But I think one thing to look at is our margin of indebtedness has actually gone down since 2016. So we're healthy. We're very healthy. Money is cheap yet. The interest rates are very low. This is a time to get caught up on some projects that we've been holding off on.
Beaver Dam Mayor Becky Glewen, the third of three conversations with the candidates for mayor on the February 18th primary ballot. We'll take a quick break and be back in just a minute.
I'm Kyle Montgomery with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. It's the end of an era for the Chargers as the team and quarterback Phillip Rivers have mutually agreed to part ways, but he's ready to play somewhere else. Rivers telling the LA Times, "You certainly want to win a championship, but it's not just about that. If you told me right now that I'd play for 2 years and be good but not win a Super Bowl, heck yeah, I'd still play." Meantime, will Cam Newton be a Panther in 2020? It's one of the biggest questions of the offseason. Tuesday, Panthers owner David Tepper said nothing has been decided and everything still hinges upon the health of the former NFL MVP. Tua Tagovailoa got some good news on his injured hip. According to Ian Rappaport, his CT scan was as positive as possible, revealing a healed hip. Range of motion is good, but it'll likely be another month before Tua is cleared for football activities. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
In general, I'm a win-win guy. When I have to spend hours searching for the right part, it's lose-lose. It's time lost for me and lost time for my crew. That's why I order from Grainger. With product experts that have the answers to my toughest questions, an easy-to-use website to help me find the right product quickly, I can rely on Grainger to make getting supplies for my business as simple and seamless as possible. When it comes to getting things done, it's a win-win when Grainger's got your back. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by to see for yourself. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Prescription products require an online physician consultation and are only available if the physician determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The expensive Little Blue pill is now generic, which means the prescription medication to treat ED is super affordable at 4hims.com. And now get your first online doctor's visit free at 4hims.com. That's right. Zero copay, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. That's really good news. To start your free online visit, go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/joy.
Get huge clearance deals during the Fleet Farm store-wide clearance event. All clearance items are an additional 25% off, which means you save up to 80% off original prices. Find clearance deals throughout the entire store. Just look for the yellow clearance tags to save big. Don't wait. Now's your chance to get an extra 25% off already low clearance prices during Fleet Farm's store-wide clearance event. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
21 minutes past 1 o'clock, AM 1430 WBEV. Now back to Community Comment.
And our guest is Beaver Dam Mayor Becky Glewen. She is going to be on the February 18th primary ballot, alongside two challengers, Al Winter, who was our guest yesterday, and Jeff Coleman, who was our guest on Monday. You'll be able to see all these videos and hear the audio at dailydodge.com. Coming up a little bit later today. The next topic I want to talk about is, we're talking about borrowing. One of the big price tags that the city may be looking at is possible second north side fire station, along with the staffing that would be required, not just to staff such a facility, but the fire chief has been saying our personnel are stressed out, they're stretched to the maximum. We need to be able to bolster those ranks. Where would you be at in prioritizing the needs of the fire department if elected to a third-year term? Another 3-year term, excuse me.
Sure. Well, I think, first of all, I'm very supportive of the police and fire, and we need to look at this, of course. I guess where I have had some, I've had a lot of questions about, data. I'd like to see the data, and I've had a really hard time getting that data. And, part of my question has been, we provide a lot of services to the township or townships, I should say, and cities, communities. Is that in our best interest? We provide transportation to medical transport down to Madison, for instance. Again, is that in our best interest? Does it make more sense to keep our personnel in the city of Beaver Dam? And I just want to look at the cost of that. I mean, so the county just did a study to look at EMS services across the county, and that's what I've really pushed for from day one. Costs of police and fire protection have gone up exponentially, and if you look every year that I've been in office, it's gone up. 54% of our operational budget goes to pay for police and fire. And every time it continues to go up, you have the levy pushing down, which says this is all that you could spend, which is good because we don't want to tax too much. But as that wedge keeps growing, it takes more away from our road projects to fix up roads. It takes more away from our parks projects. And a community is more than just protection. And so, well, it's our main focus. And, this is a state level thing that they've been talking about. And it's the issue is certainly not just Beaver Dam, it's across the state. And so what we're seeing is that aging population and more calls that are coming in. In the last 5 years, we've hired 2 additional personnel for the department. My question becomes, again, are we subsidizing other communities in paying for these services, for services outside our city? And I want to be a partner, but I also I don't want our city taxpayers subsidizing cheaper taxes for people to live out in the township, which is often what I hear, and is frustrating to me. And I would say that during this county study that just went on, the speakers came and they talked about the cost of EMS services out in a volunteer service out in the township, and what that costs, and then what it costs to contract with a Lifestar EMS service out of a company, and then what it costs to contract out of an EMS service out of a city, like a big group like we would be, like the city of Beaver Dam, and then what it costs for a city EMS and fire. And obviously the communities or the costs for a city EMS fire are much more expensive than what it is for the volunteer, the EMS standalones. And so are we getting compensated? We're providing paramedic quality to the county as far as EMS services, and so are we actually getting, so it's a big question. I'd like to really see that study come forward, but my stress has been, and I have brought in individuals from regional concepts that it's called Western Lakes and North Shore Fire and EMS, and they do a regional concept. So when you think about your management, instead of a police chief covering the city of Beaver Dam, 16,000 people, it's a police chief covering 60,000 people across a much broader area. So you save costs, you share costs across a bigger area, and you share the costs of equipment and things. So I want to make sure that the costs are bearable. One last piece is to think about the city of Beaver Dam has virtually had no growth in the last 50 years. If you think about at least 40 years ago, we had about 15,000 people. We got about 16,000 some. That's virtually no growth over that period of time. And you're asking now for the same number of people to take on a 5 to 10 million building, 9 new people that get state benefits, and so I just think it's very something that really needs to be looked at and to make sure that we're smart about how we grow.
60 seconds for this next question. It's our final question before closing statements. Swan Park, a big plan was unveiled for upgrading and enhancing the park. What would be your approach? Again, we just have a minute for this answer.
Yeah, so we just went through council. We took it to council saying, hey, these are the top 3 priorities that we see there. It's the lagoons that fell, we had a wall fall in the fall. It's the pool that's outdated, and Newman Pools has said, don't stick any money into it. You can't, it's done. And then the walking paths, which there's a lot of incentive and grant money out there to pay for walking paths right now. So those 3 pieces, and there was a 4th one added for possibility of a warming house bathrooms kind of in the center. So we're looking at costs on that right now, how we could bring that forward, what that would look like, how the city grants and the community would get behind and support that.
Excellent, very good. If you would, here in the final 2 minutes of the program, tell our listeners why they should vote for Becky Glewen on the February 18th primary ballot.
Okay, well, thanks again for having me, Craig. I really appreciate it. I don't have a lot to say other than I stand by my record, moving Beaver Dam forward. I understand that there are people that don't agree with my vision for the community, but we are following a plan, and I believe that we've seen significant progress, and I hope that I have your continued vote so that we can continue that process and moving Beaver Dam forward. And I hope that people will get involved and be a part of that as well, and that they'll want to find ways to help out and bring Beaver Dam forward together.
I'd like to thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks, Craig.
Once again, Becky Glewen is the incumbent candidate for mayor of the city of Beaver Dam, appearing on the ballot alongside Al Winter, who was our guest on yesterday's Community Comment, and Jeff Coman, who joined us Monday on Community Comment. All 3 of these conversations in both audio and video will be posted at some point today at dailydodge.com. In the meantime, we want to thank all 3 of the candidates for taking time out of their days to sit down and discuss the issues with us. And again, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
That is going to do it for today's Community Comment.
It is 1:30. Up next, it is Radio Bingo on AM 1430 WBEV.